Now it's time for tip-episodes with quick tips you should know. Techniques you can implement into your workflow right here on A Tale, oh yeah, A Tale of Two Hygienists.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am joined today by Katie. Katie, man, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew.
Is this your first podcast?
It is. Yeah.
Oh, are you nervous?
A little bit, but you've helped to make me comfortable.
Oh, stop it. Well, I'm really excited to talk about this thing. It's a world I don't understand, but dentistry is absolutely moving this direction. We're talking about Botox and fillers today. First of all, I want to get to know who you are just a little bit more, like your background. You're a dental hygienist, but then after we get through that, I do want to have some definitions because I feel so lost. I'm in the middle of the ocean trying to like keep my head above water here, trying to figure out what's going on. But tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and what you've been up to in dentistry.
Yeah, so I'm a registered dental hygienist, obviously. I've been practicing for 13 years. My background is in general dentistry with an emphasis really on cosmetic dentistry, anterior work. And recently, Kansas, the state that I live and practice in, has passed legislation that allows hygienists to now do Botox and filler.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the difference between what's Botox and what's filler.
Okay, great question.
I'm just I know it's so basic. All of our like listeners are like, Andrew, you're such an idiot, but it's fine. Please explain it to me.
It's okay. This is your life ring coming to you in the middle of the ocean.
Thank you.
Botox is a neuromodulator, which means it is going to modify the behavior of a muscle or muscle group. So think about when we raise our eyebrows, right? For some of us, we don't love to see those lines on our forehead. So we can use this neuromodulator, this behavior modifier, to relax that muscle in our forehead or anywhere, on our body, which will then cosmetically prevent those wrinkles. So we can use it for cosmetic purposes. But Botox can also be used in other muscles like the masseters, for example, to help quiet them if a patient is clenching or grinding. So that's kind of Botox in a nutshell and how we can use it. Filler is injected into certain areas of the face that are lacking volume or definition. So many people know about lip filler. So I'll use the lips, for example. As we age, the corners of the mouth can turn down. So a lot of patients who get chronic angular cheilitis,
I say colitis, but it also could be cheilitis. However you learned it in hygiene school, you never know.
Tomato, yes.
Exactly.
I went to hygiene school on the East Coast. So in any case, for therapeutic purposes, we can use it there to kind of soften the folds there and help prevent that from occurring. But then obviously there are the cosmetic indications for plumpness, fullness, hydration, definition. So one modality is going to be used to modify the behavior of a muscle. That's Botox. One modality is going to be used to give definition, volume, shape, etc. And that's filler.
That makes almost too much sense. Like that, I should probably been able to infer that from the word of filler. Anyways, so okay, let's talk about the states. Kansas, you said, right?
Kansas.
Were you living in Kansas when that kind of legislation was being passed, or did you move there after it had passed?
I was living in Kansas, yes.
What was like the feeling and the sentiment in the dental community that as it was being discussed, like it was on the floor or as it was being proposed? Was that something that the dental community was wanting to embrace, or was there kind of like a back and forth, like kind of fight about it?
I mean, speaking on behalf of the hygienists that I have relationships with, this was something that we knew we wanted within our scope of care and something that we knew we were capable of. And for me, this is really kind of a soapbox question.
Reach it. Get on that soapbox. Let's do this.
I feel like the sentiment of hygienists is, why not us?
Yeah.
Right? The rest of the medical community is doing this. Is it because, can hygienists not do this because we're not educated? Well, no, we are. Is it hygienists can't do this in some states because we don't understand head and neck anatomy? Well, we do. It's what we do in our careers every single day. We deal with that. Is it because we don't know how to give injections? Well, we actually do know how to give injections as well. We do it every single day in the mouth. So when legislation passed in Kansas, this was a run, don't walk opportunity for many hygienists.
What is what are like the rules or regulations behind, is it direct supervision? Is it in certain care settings? What does that look like?
That's a great question. And obviously, I can only speak to the laws in Kansas because that's what I'm most familiar with. But in Kansas, hygienists must practice under direct supervision. They must practice under a doctor or a dentist. They must practice under a dentist who has also been trained in whichever modality they're using. So if you're just doing Botox, the doctor has to have had Botox training, or filler, the same thing. They must have also been trained in filler. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I'm fascinated because we were talking. Your office was doing this, and you wanted to find a practice that was supportive of this, and it sounds like you guys have a really great team. And so I'm curious though about the patient presents, and it's almost like the whitening conversation. You're like, do you like the way you look? Do you like the way that you're the shade of your teeth? And you never want to offend, right? So how does that like organically come up in the conversations that you have with your patients? When either actually, let's start with a non-therapeutic reason. So not the TMD issues, but more of like a cosmetic-y reason. How does that organically come up?
Yeah. So I never want to sell a patient. Healthcare should be healthcare. And to me, I don't like to focus on the selling part of healthcare. So we do have literature in our reception area that just kind of talk about at a high level what Botox and filler are. And so I think for some patients, that's going to catch their eye. And sometimes they bring those questions back to the operatories. Truthfully, I'm never presenting either therapy for cosmetics to a patient. If anything, I'm going to let them know that we can, help them therapeutically. And then if organically that turns into a conversation about cosmetics, then I'm happy to have that conversation.
Sure. When it comes to, I guess, your specific role in the office, how do you all decide like who takes what case? Is it all hygienists can do these certain procedures, or is it kind of anyone can do anything?
So I believe all but one of our hygienists are trained in Botox and filler. We have a really amazing practice. I just want to give a shout out to our office. We have an incredible team. We're all women, and our entire clinical team is hygienists with the exception of doctor's assistant. And most of us have been trained in Botox and filler. So to answer your question, who takes what case? Any one of us can take a Botox or filler case, but certain hygienists have more specific roles in the office. Like, for example, one of our hygienists is trained in sleep medicine. So she's really the expert there. And while some of us are also cross-trained there, she does that. And it's similar for Botox and filler. We all can, but some of us are more enthusiastic about it, I guess you could say.
My guess is that you're a little more enthusiastic about Botox and fillers than
Very.
sleep. Okay.
Yes.
Tell me about the education and training. One, maybe the requirements from the state that you live in, but also kind of like what your experience was in the training.
So the requirement from the state was that you had to have so many hours of training. I was certified through the American Academy of Facial Aesthetics. They provided online training modules that had to be completed in order to sit for an 8-hour in-person hands-on training. And so for that, it looked like the morning was spent focusing on Botox and the afternoon was spent focusing on filler. Now, just being the enthusiastic person that I am, I, of course, took that to the next level and pursued higher training with the American Academy of Facial Aesthetics. And I actually went on to become a faculty instructor with them. So
Thanks.
I'm super excited about that as well.
So what are you hoping to be able to educate on, or what kind of people are you hoping, like, would you end up being just in dentistry, or are you just kind of teaching any profession that's legally allowed to do it?
So with the AAFE, we teach all healthcare professions, but my passion is obviously to educate fellow hygienists.
So I've noticed though so I live in Florida now, in the Facebook groups here, everyone's just super excited about it. There's a lot of just buzz. In some of the other Facebook groups I'm in from some of the other states, there's a huge buzz and a lot of legislation is being passed kind of all over the place. But where I find the sticking point is I feel people just don't know where to go for education. And so I'm hoping that you can be a resource. So if someone wanted to learn more, if they wanted to reach out to you, like where would you suggest that they go to, or how can they contact you?
Yeah, so you can email me, kdb.rdh@gmail.com, or follow along on Instagram, the RDH Injector. And I'm always excited to answer messages or emails.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on. This is awesome.
Thank you, Andrew.
A tale of two hygienists.